And so Schneider began in the mid-1990s talking about the Dulce battle, talking about his involvement in building these underground bases. He said that there were just over 100 of them all over the United States, that there were some in other places of the world like Pine Gap in Australia. He disclosed the size of the budget, of the black budget, and his estimate was pretty accurate. He said back in that day, he said it was around $1 trillion. So he's talking about the early 1990s, and it was funding all of these bases. And he broke ranks when he realized that what was being created was a new world government. That he saw a facility that was being created that would host the United Nations. And he said that what greatly disturbed him was that where the United Nations diplomats would be meeting and conducting their business for the planet, that above them was a kind of alcove where the grey extraterrestrials would be observing. And he realized that the New World Order was basically going to be controlled by these grey extraterrestrials who were working with the German groups out of Antarctica.
One of the primary things that Phil Schneider talked about at Dulce was this particular issue of human beings used against their will in strange and controversial genetic experimentation. The other angle that Phil Schneider was also well known for was pointing out that we, the human race, the military, the government, had lost control of the Dulce base. Yes, we weren't there, but most of the people who were in there were very fearful of their lives. And a lot of the experiments that were going on under Dulce in this particular base were sort of horrendous. People in jails, if you like, in chains, held prisoner and used by these extraterrestrial entities how and whenever they wanted to. This involved bizarre genetic experiments, gene splicing, crossbreeding humans.
He produced photographs of a hybrid. This is a calf with a human head. And that made its way into the public by way of Bill Burns' his television show, and then after it aired on UFO Hunters, Congress immediately enacted this law that stated no human-animal hybridization, and then the show was canceled. And through working there, he learned so much about the advancement, this exponential advancement in our levels of technology. It all comes from Dulce. Everything comes from Dulce. There's a group in Los Alamos called the Technological Commercialization Office that takes technologies and puts them out into the private sector. And we made a big discovery. We discovered a company called Hyperion, who was led by Lady Barbara Judge, who was knighted by the Queen of England, giving her commander of the British Empire this very prestigious knighting for two reasons: her work in the nuclear sector and the international banking sector. Now here's where it gets strange. Hyperion, nobody knew about them. My source said, you need to look into this company in Los Alamos. There's chief of police that we interviewed with the ASPE organization and MUFON both being present. He gave us in detail description of what he could only describe as escaped projects, experiments from unknown projects at the Dulce facility. Over a span of 20 years, he had encountered some, on average one a year, some hybrid or cryptid type being between Dulce and Taos. In the wilderness is huge up there, and some were reports that as a police officer he was told to go investigate. Others, just happenstance. It just out of nowhere. Winged creatures, hybrid human greys lost in the woods, people talking with Bigfoot type creatures, having intelligent conversations, strange things. And he believes in his heart that this all came about from Dulce, what they're conducting there. We know that one of the major mandates of the Dulce facility was these super soldier experiments, hybrid experiments, hybridization experiments.
The most common thing that's reported that's unusual there are small 2-foot hairy dwarves. They're seen constantly, even in town on Main Street. I've been chasing this footage that somebody has there, and I'm trying to track it down. The old casino site had a surveillance camera set up, you know, inside and out. And one night, these dwarves started jumping from car to car, putting dents in people's hoods in the parking lot, and they caught them on camera. The Bigfoot there's extra large Bigfoot there, the largest outside of the Pacific Northwest, the largest hairy hominids that I've heard of. They go 12 feet around Dulce. Hoyt Velarde's had one right on his property. He got within 100 feet of one in broad daylight, and he was able to step over a 4-strand barbed wire fence without even slowing down.